This is the KennyM Show. Hi peeps, this is KennyM. Thanks for tuning in once again. I hope you had a good week last week. I know it's just a bit murky out there today, sort of rain. But fun thing is we're glad to be alive. That's what matters. Most people sort of go to bed and never wake up, unfortunately. But if you are alive and listening to me right now, then it means there's a purpose for you, my dear. A purpose for you, a purpose for me that we're going to pull through, especially during this COVID-19 season, and we'll come out strong. So be glad, be grateful that you're still alive. I got a quote for you today. Today's quote is one of my favorites from Jin Ron. It says, "Don't wish it was easy. Wish you were better." And the reason being, if you always settle for less, you go for, i.e., the smaller things on the ground, not trying to battle for things up high, you're probably not going to succeed, or you only become a mediocre, i.e., just settling for less. So his quote is really strong. It sort of spurs me on. It pushes me on to try and wish for things to be hard, so you can learn, you can grasp experiences in life as you go along. So don't wish it was easy, but wish you were better. Get more skills, acquire more knowledge, and push on in life. That's what will get you to where you want to get to. So thanks for joining in once again today. Last week I talked about dealing with grief. This was how I dealt with grief when my mum passed 15 years ago. And I think the plan this week was to tell you a little bit about how I pulled through when my dad also passed away not too long ago, a few months ago. Buried this year in February, and it hasn't been easy. Honestly, it hasn't been easy. The reason why I wanted to start this series with dealing with grief, I take that very personal because I've lost two parents, and it's really not easy to go through such a time in one's life. So I really wanted to share my experiences, or experiences, because it's two now. Share my experiences so somebody can tap into what I went through, and how, or what sort of was going through my mind, and how I've managed to sort of hold myself together up until this point. I know it'll be a blessing to somebody, if not all of it, but probably just little sections of it. But if all of it blesses somebody, then yeah, I think I've shared a good experience. So that was the reason why I really wanted to have a discussion about this topic, and hopefully at the end you will come out strong. The whole point is you listen to it, you build yourself up, and then it will just keep you going strong to face tomorrow. So what are we talking about? I'm gonna take you a little bit back when my mom actually died. I don't know whether I spoke about that last week or not, but on the day she passed away, it was a Thursday, 17th of March. That was her birthday, as I said last week, and I think I had an exam. Although I went out to try and get her birthday present, I had an exam that day to write because I was in my final year at university, and just thinking about the whole thing now, it makes me really wonder how I honestly have forgotten whether I managed to write it, or I don't know. I've forgotten, honestly, but I think I wrote it, and I pulled through. I don't know how I did it, because it was very difficult, especially she passing away that morning, and it hasn't. I don't know what you're going through now. Yours might not be as easy as mine. Yours might be something a little bit different that you're going through. It might have happened when maybe you might have been giving birth to your child, and and you lost a parent, or you lost your husband, you lost your wife, or even maybe your wife, it was your wife that was giving birth, that you lost her. So the topic of grief is is very strong, and most people sort of tend to get attached to it. Someone like me, and I went through a phase before I come to my dad's one. I went through a phase when my mom died. I think I became a little bit resilient about death, or someone else's parent or child or whatever dying, and I had to battle that for, I think, about a year, because I couldn't feel it. After my mom died, and I hear of someone else's passing at the back of my mind, and this was really bad. But it was one of those phases I was going through. At the back of my mind, I was thinking, well, who else should die? Which was really bad. I never brought it out of my mouth, and I've only told I think my wife about this. Yeah, obviously she knew, and I battled it for a year before I sort of regained myself again, to have feeling, or to understand what death can do, to a family. So it wasn't easy, but I managed to pull through. So I'll tell you what happened to my dad. When my mom passed away, my dad suffered a stroke after 5 years of my mom's passing. This was in 2010. So he had the stroke for 10 years, 10 years until he passed on. And last year 2019, leading up to Christmas, he'd been okay. He'd visited UK a number of times, so he'd been fine, even during the time that he had the stroke. So late last year, he was fine, and all of a sudden, he was 75, obviously. So the age caught up with him, and he started feeling pains in his legs and thighs, and so we started spending money to make sure he was cared for well. Went through all these laboratories to try and find out exactly why the old boy was in such pain. And the unfortunate thing happened on the 23rd of December. This was just 2 days before Christmas. He suffered another stroke, and that just threw the whole thing out. It was difficult, and he was in Ghana, and at that time, myself and my family, we were in Spain. We wanted to sort of go away and sort of relax a little bit, because it had been a hectic 2019. And for us to hear this news whilst over there, it was shocking. Like the shock alone, it was unbelievable that for someone who'd had stroke for 10 years to suffer a second stroke, it was unbelievable. And you try to process these things in your head, thinking, why should it happen? Why should it happen? So over there, you're thinking you're on holiday, trying to enjoy a little bit with the kids, but then your mind is still where your dad is, and he'd been hospitalized, stayed at a hospital from the 23rd all the way into New Year, and it wasn't easy. So all these things would be going through your mind. The shock would come, so you'd accept the shock that, oh yeah, this has happened again. How do we deal with it? So calling siblings, calling brothers, trying to pull resources together to try and make the man comfortable. And he was discharged just in the new year. I think it was around the 3rd of January, and then he came home. It wasn't a great state, in all honesty. And it wouldn't have been a great state sort of going forward, because I wouldn't call it bedridden, but that is what it nearly seemed like, So we were putting things in place to try and make sure he would be fine. And unfortunately, it didn't last quite a lot of days when he came home on the 8th of Jan. He had to be rushed back to the hospital. I think on the 7th, which was on the Wednesday, and the following day, the 8th, he passed away. And I was in there. I think I had two brothers around, and I remember we had returned back from holiday. I was at work that morning and trying to do my job, and then I see a phone call from my big brother. This was around 7 o'clock in the morning. He'd never rang me that early before, It was quite strange receiving that phone call that very early morning. I picked it up, and he basically just dropped it. He dropped it. I had received an earlier call from one of my mom's friends, and she was just checking up on me. It felt strange as well, like she ringing that early. And I think she later on she told me she knew, so she was calling me. But then when she phoned me, she just checked my demeanor. She noticed I wasn't aware, so she couldn't obviously tell me. So when I spoke to my brother, I I basically had to accept it. I didn't sob or anything. I went straight into a meeting room, and we had a chat. And from that time, everything just went downhill from there up until the funeral, because I thought, okay, mom passing away 15 years ago, I would have this courage and zeal to try and hold all this together, but it wasn't easy. Honestly, it wasn't easy. I had family around. My wife was around. The children were there, to support me throughout this second phase of losing another parent. But the only thing I can say here is really, sometimes these things do happen to you, and they will. They will. Like, he was 75. It's a phase that will happen to all of us, at some point in our lives. Although we're not expecting it to happen to us now, but later on in life, we know for sure it will happen. And it's a matter of the people around, how we can build the people around us to 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 help them to understand it or accept it when it happens, because he's gone now. And if I should put myself in a chair and cry 24/7 that dad is gone, like the last parent I had, who I would be able to ring and have a chat. You ring him and he says, "Oh, Papa, how are you doing?" and stuff. Like, knowing that he was there, it was very comforting. But now he's no more, and sometimes you just hang around in the house, and then it will just dawn on you, oh, so we used to call him PK. He's like, oh no, so PK is no more. You can't even ring him, You can't ring him. You can't send him anything. You can't. It's just gone. And dealing with the aftermath is what I want to encourage you this day. It's not easy to accept this kind of shock. It's not easy to try and process it within yourself. But what you've got to remember is it is their life, and that was a phase. They've done their part. He came into this world with my mom. They gave birth to 4 strong boys and 1 strong female. 5 of us, very, very strong. And that is the legacy he left, or they left behind. And although their face is gone, it doesn't mean I need to stay sorrowful now to break me, to stop me from moving ahead, to stop me from looking ahead. I've got to make sure that I can pick myself up and build something for my family and for my wife and for my children. That is what that matters. So you might be in a similar state now, where you've probably lost due to this COVID-19 or whatever other reason. You've lost a brother, you've lost a sister, you've lost a mum, you've lost a dad, or maybe you lost them quite a while ago, and you're processing the pain and how you're struggling to deal with it. I just want to encourage you. It's hard. I've been there. I've been through it, and I am still going through it. Just have that faith. Have that foresight in front of you. Pull good people around you. Let them help you. Speak to people. And don't let the pain cripple you. Keep on doing what you do best. Learn, expose yourself to new things, challenge yourself to new things. And trust me, you'll become a better person. Because if they manage to get this far in life, it must have been something good that they were eating, or some sort of exercises that they were doing. Let's try and do all these things, so at least we know we can stay a bit longer, or even get to the milestone. So I really appreciate you listening to me once again today. And hopefully, I know I have blessed you in one way or another. You can leave comments in the comment section below. Get in touch. Let me see how you pulled through your grief. It'll be interesting to know how others did it. So at least we can all learn from each other. So start a conversation in the comment section below. Or if you want to get in touch, my email address is in the description below. And we can have a conversation. I might be able to maybe talk you out of something you're planning on doing now. And hopefully don't forget that you have a purpose in life that you need to push for. So stay blessed, and hopefully I will come your way again next week for another discussion. Thank you for staying with me, and stay blessed. This is the KennyM Show.